Good evening. Hope everybody is doing well. I am slightly sore. So another busy day intent on beta testing. So things are coming along. I will say that. I mean, come along. It's incredible. Of course I can't talk about it. I wished I could. Um, I'll just say incredible. I'm impressed. But anyway, um, trying to think a lot of pardon me, a lot of headlines coming out today. Even right off the bat when I got up, there were quite a few. Um, I'll tell you what. This looks like a definite, pardon me, a definite escalation. Meaning the situation between the U.S. and Russia. I thought maybe that might kind of cool off a little, and I honestly figured that the China thing would probably heat up. But, and I do still think the China thing's going to heat up, but I don't think there's going to be the lull with Russia. Now, things could change pretty quick. Considering everything that's been said, everything that's been laid on the table. Things could change in very short order. And so we want to be kind of, aware of that. Because it could affect us here. It could affect us here in just as short a order as it happens over there. I mean, that's a fact. Just not to try to fearmonger or anything like that, just to put a situation out there. If they were to launch a tactical nuke, and then let's say NATO launches a tactical nuke in response and hits, a Russian city, then what? I think Russia's going to respond to that. Who are they going to dot in the I? Probably, to be honest, the first dot in the I will go to the country that the missile launched from. But I wouldn't doubt that there wouldn't be one sent our way as well. So, we'll see. There is a lot of nuclear talk on the table. A lot more than I expected, and I really didn't think we'd see it go this direction for a number of reasons. But and we may not, I doubt we will actually go this direction, but it's something that we might want to keep an eye on. We definitely want to have it on our radar, and if you have the ability to be prepared, it'd be a good idea. Really good idea. Trying to think. That's mainly what I saw. I was outside for a good part of the day, so I didn't keep up on the news again like I usually do. Thankfully, this is my Friday for the news. And then tomorrow I will do another day of beta testing, and then I will be recognizing Shabbat and be enjoying my day off from both the news and beta testing. So, anyway, let's see. Gotta have a sip of coffee. Yeah, I was out there 8 something, I think, in the morning, and finished up after 6. That's when I came in. So I put in a few hours. Huh. But, you know, they they sent it to me for a reason, and that was to test the hell out of it. So, we're going to test the hell out of it. Let's see. All right. Oh, back over here. Losing windows and stuff. Ow. Pardon me while I cough up a lung or two. If it's two, there might be an issue. We might have to postpone the show. As long as I got one lung, we'll be good. The other one we'll just poke back in or something with a stick. Get it back in there. It'll work. Anyway, I'm telling you, man, if you're in need of medical attention, I am the last person you want to see standing over you. I mean that. Don't die in front of me. Alright, let's take you on over. A nuclear war is possible, says U.S. Commander. A Navy Admiral Charles Richard, Charles Dick, is commander of U.S. Strategic Command, declared on Wednesday that for the... I know, I didn't have to do that. For the first time since the end of the Cold War, the U.S. faces the possibility of nuclear war with a peer-level opponent. Speaking at an Air Force-organized conference in Maryland, Richard, or Dick, claimed... I know, act my age, I'm trying. Anyway, he claimed that the U.S. would have to prepare to escalate quickly against possible opponents and to protect its homeland. Of course, always protect Dick. Hey, I did say something about it's my Friday, did I not? All of us in this room are back in the business of contemplating direct armed conflict with a nuclear-capable peer, he said. Dick. Sorry. I'm having way too much fun with this. According to a Pentagon summary of his comments, we have not had to do that in over 30 years. I can't believe I'm cracking jokes about nuclear weapons. Well, not about the weapons, but about Dick. Russia and China can escalate to any level of violence that they choose in any domain with any instrument of power worldwide, he continued. We just haven't faced competitors and opponents like that in a long time. In the eyes of Moscow, the U.S. is currently locked in a proxy conflict with Russia and Ukraine and has steadily escalated its commitment of weapons, intelligence, and financial assistance to Kiev since Russian troops entered Ukraine in February. Russia's current nuclear doctrine allows for the use of nuclear weapons in the event of a first nuclear strike on its territory or infrastructure, or if the existence of the Russian state is threatened by either nuclear or conventional weapons. American doctrine allows for a nuclear first strike in extreme circumstances to defend the vital interest of the United States or its allies and partners. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that first strike doctrine was brought up under Obama, if I'm not mistaken. Russian President Vladimir Putin reiterated this position on Wednesday, declaring that the Kremlin would without a doubt use all available means to protect Russia and our people should Russian territory be threatened. Russian Foreign Ministry Sergei Lavrov also warned that the U.S. was teetering on the brink of becoming a direct party in the Ukraine conflict, with Washington risking a direct collision between nuclear powers. Similar warnings have come from within the U.S. too, most notably from former President Donald Trump, who declared on Wednesday that the conflict, which he said should have never happened, could end up being World War III. And that was in the headlines. Let's see. One moment. I was outside most of the day, so my sinuses are kind of giving me hell. Alright. So, this is certainly more on the table than what I suspected it was going to be. I'm not freaked out about it, but it is something to, like I say, keep mindful of. Unfortunately, we don't have much in the line of things to protect from radiation, but well, I'm just hoping it don't go that way. Anyway, and I know smoking opium don't get you anywhere. I get that. I understand. But money don't grow on trees. All right. This shouldn't be of any surprise. U.S. pledges more support for Ukraine. This here says, as Russia mobilizes hundreds of thousands of troops, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken told a United Nations meeting on Thursday that Washington will bolster Kiev's forces until it can end the conflict with Russia on favorable terms. Addressing the UN Security Council, Blinken declared that the U.S. will continue to support Ukraine as it defends itself and strengthen its hand to achieve a diplomatic solution on just terms at a negotiating table. Diplomacy is the only way to end this war, Blinken continued, but diplomacy cannot and must not be used as a cudgel to impose on Ukraine a settlement that cuts against the UN Charter or rewards Russia for violating it. Blinken's declaration echoes his often repeated line that the U.S. must help Kiev achieve military victory so it can dictate its terms during an eventual settlement with Moscow. To that end, the U.S. has flooded Ukraine with progressively more advanced weaponry and lavished Kiev with economic and humanitarian aid at a cost to the U.S. taxpayer of around $54 billion since February. Aren't you happy? However, Ukraine's only successful offensive of the conflict so far came earlier this month in a region held by significantly lighter contingent of Russian and Allied troops, and Kiev's forces likely face far tougher challenges in the coming months after Russian President Vladimir Putin announced the mobilization of 300,000 reservists on Wednesday. Further complicating matters is Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky's pledge to capture the Russian territory of Crimea, as well as the Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics. The two Donbass republics will vote this week on joining the Russian Federation, with similar referendums being held in the Russian-controlled regions of Zaporozhye and Kherson. Crimea voted in 2014 to rejoin Russia. So, and I'll go ahead and read this last part. It says, while most Western leaders have stated that they foresee the conflict ending in a negotiated peace, no NATO or EU heads of state have called on Zelensky to compromise on his plans to seize Donbass and Crimea. Few analysts or pundits in the West have questioned the Ukrainian leader's publicly stated objectives, with those who have, such as former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, denounced at home and declared enemies of Ukraine by Kiev. So, there's that. Coffee. And this next one is something that I've been talking about here quite a bit lately. Ukraine perfect testing ground for new U.S. weapons, says an official. Have I not been talking about that lately? U.S. defense companies should send their new weapons to Ukraine so they can be tested in actual combat against Russian forces. Kiev's Deputy Defense Minister Vladimir Gavrilov has said. Gavrilov made the suggestion during a speech before hundreds of American defense industry representatives and military acquisitions personnel at the Future Force Capabilities Conference. That's what we need to go. Why weren't we invited to the Future Force Capabilities Conference? Now, you want to talk about a gun rally. Holy hell. That's what we need to go to. The hell with these, with these gun shows. It's got the AR-15s and all that. Let's go to the ones that's got the HIMARS, I mean, where are those gun shows at? That's what I want to know. Anyway, if you have some ideas or some pilot projects to be tested before mass manufacturing, you can send it to us and we will explain how to do it. And in the end, you will get the stamp proved by the war in Ukraine. You will sell it easy, he said, as cited by the Military Times. So what this is it's a sales pitch. And what they're trying to do is get the private defense industry to contact them and say, hey, you know what? We've got a blowy-uppy thing that we would like to see how it works on people. That's pretty much how that works. So, not saying they're going to buy the weapons, but you can donate the weapons and let's see how they work. Yay! It's like, the box of fireworks in the closet that you have no idea what the hell's in there. It's crazy. You are going to see it. Well, this does carry on. It says, according to Deputy Defense Minister, startup companies, including those involved in anti-drone and anti-jamming equipment, have already brought new technologies to the Ukrainian battlefield. And I do remember that being talked about. And they come back with a product that is competitive in the market now because it was tested in a combat zone, Gariloff said, without revealing the companies that have worked with Ukraine in this capacity. His comments were made on the day Russian President Vladimir Putin announced a partial mobilization, which he said is necessary because Russia has been fighting the entire Western military machine in Ukraine. Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu later stated that around 300,000 reservists are planned to be called up. In view of the shift in Russia's tactics, Kiev will require more counter-drone and electronic warfare technologies, armored vehicles, and long-range anti-tank and precision-fire weapons, Gavrilov said. And I know, right? I'm just asking for the same things, right? Aren't we all supposed to be equal? Right. I'll expect the truck. In the view of Ukraine is now almost entirely dependent on weapons supplied by the U.S., UK, EU, and other nations, according to Shoigu, as most of the Soviet-made hardware it had before the fighting began in late February has been destroyed by Russian forces. So, yeah. They're basically trying to get people to donate their latest, greatest technology to, blow stuff up. And people. Lots of peoples. It's crazy. And you know what gets me? Is you've got people in the Donetsk regions, Donetsk and Lugansk, that are wanting to vote on it. They want to join Russia. Now, I'm sorry, but I think if in an area wants to join some other area and they have a proper vote, then so be it. You know? It'd be cool if Madison County, where we live, would say, you know what, we don't want to be a part of this state anymore. And said, hey, Missouri, why don't you latch on to us? Now, I know there's a river boundary, and that's what divides the two states, but regardless, it could be done. Not saying it's likely, I'm just saying it could be. Poland wants more NATO troops. Russia's announcement of a partial military mobilization is a sign of defeat and poses no threat to Poland, but should be responded to with the deployment of more NATO troops in Eastern Europe, according to Paweł Solach, a top Polish security official. In connection with the mobilization, we must press on for an increased Allied presence on the eastern flank. This is an additional argument for having additional NATO troops in the east, Solach said in an interview with the Graffiti program on Polsat News on Thursday. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced on Wednesday that some military reservists would be called up to active service to help with the country's military offensive in Ukraine. It goes into the history, and we're not going to cover all that stuff all over again. But apparently, Poland is looking for more troops. I mean, it must be nice. I mean, how do we sign up for this stuff? That's what I want to know. I mean, where's the military aid office? Yeah, I need some military aid. Fun times. Iran to join drills with Russia and China. More fun times. The Iranian Navy will take part in joint exercises with Russian and Chinese warships this autumn, Major General Mohammad Hossein Bagheri announced on Thursday in Tehran. The Chief of Staff of the Iranian Armed Forces did not offer much in the way of details about the planned maneuvers, but said other countries such as Oman and Pakistan might participate as well. Bagheri said the announcement made the announcement on the sidelines of a military parade in Tehran marking Sacred Defense Week, according to the Mehr news agency. Exercises involving the navies of Iran, Russia, and China will be held in the northern part of the Indian Ocean this autumn, Mehr quoted Bagheri as saying. This would be the fourth joint exercise by the three navies since 2019 and the first since the escalation of hostilities in Ukraine. 11 Iranian vessels, 3 Russian and 2 Chinese warships took part in the January 2022 exercises in the northern Indian Ocean. Among the activities practiced at the time were artillery fire on naval targets, search and rescue operations, and the liberation of a civilian ship from pirates, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. Russia and China conducted a joint patrol in the northern Pacific off the coast of Japan earlier this month. A total of 8 ships from Russia's Pacific Fleet and the People's Liberation Army Navy took part in those maneuvers. So, yikes, my neck. I'm telling you, my back is like tearing me up. That's why I'm just kind of like running through this. Make it a quick, easy night. I am ready for that bed. Oh, man. Alright, this is the last tab that I have open. A man released after killing teen over political argument. I believe we talked about this yesterday. This is insane. This is just Maybe we didn't talk about this yesterday. I don't know. This is just mind-blowing insane. And at first, it wasn't getting any traction. It was almost like they were doing everything they could to suppress this. But, yeah, this dude literally killed a teen over a political argument. Ran him down, I believe. Ran him down with a car. SUV. He claimed the 18-year-old was part of a Republican extremist group. I'm sure you've already heard all of this stuff half a dozen times. This is nuts. And we can't expect the American people just to sit back while one side gets free rein, while the other side gets every liberty that they can even think of taken from them. In many cases because of false claims from fake victims. That's how that works. When you take justice away from people, they will attack one another. They will pick sides and they will attack one another. All they got to do is stand back and put the foot down to save the day. That's why they keep stoking the fires. That's what they want. This is insane. I don't know what else to say on it other than, I don't know. That is all I can say on it, because the only other thing I've got to say on it I can't say and won't say on the air. I've got more to say, don't get me wrong, but I know better. Just leave that at that. Alright, I had a fair amount of headlines today, as I said. Figure we'll zip through them, we'll get out of here, and... Let's see. U.S. to ease restrictions on Cuban migrants. North Korea responds to Russian arms sales claims. UN accuses Latin American state of crimes against humanity. EU scramble for gas creates new energy threat, says Bloomberg. Chinese imports of Russian coal hit 5-year high. Ex-U.S. general warns Russia of devastating strike. EU to impose new sanctions on Moscow, says Burrell. Russia claims it foiled Ukrainian plot to sabotage energy link. Ukraine reveals details of major prisoner swap with Russia. Brussels sanctions caused crisis, says Orban. German producer prices hit all-time high, says data. Russian MOD reveals number of soldiers swapped with Kiev. Several injured by blast in Zaporozhye region ahead of referendums, as official. Let's see. U.S. Treasury looking for sanctions wizard, says Bloomberg. French film legend to interview Zelensky, says media. I mean, it's like a media parade. Russia to get new batch of fifth-generation fighter jets. Fun times. Multiple deaths in Ukrainian shelling of Donetsk market. School sides with viral transgender teacher. And I'm sure you probably heard about this story as well. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Macron suggests how Ukrainian conflict should end. UK lifts ban on fracking. Probably a good idea. Ex-Ukrainian opposition leader freed in swap with Kiev, says DPR head. Covered that one. European country stockpiles Russian gold, says Bloomberg. Medvedev responds to military threat from ex-U.S. general. Serbia accuses West of double standards. What, who, us? No. A mastermind behind U.S. Navy corruption scandal arrested. Russia issues budget forecast. Germany to nationalize Russian gas subsidiary, says Der Spiegel. And I'm telling you, I bet the same thing happens in the United States. Let's see. Biden promises U.S. help for Russian ally. Tesla recalls over 1 million vehicles. Life got more expensive in France, says Macron. I wonder what his first clue was. Turkey to decide fate of Russian payment system, says Erdogan. Austria to reject Russian gas ban, says FM. Kremlin calls media claims about mobilization size a lie. Trump warns of World War III. Ex-minister sentenced to death. India's recession safeguard revealed. Ukraine should leave Crimea alone, says former Reagan advisor. A Russian neighbor outlines stance on border crossings. Zelensky promises comfortable stay in Turkey for neo-Nazis. You know. Lavrov puts spotlight on impunity in Ukraine. U.S. sanctions Iran's morality police. Russian MOD clarifies details of mobilization. Let's see. Boris Johnson thanks Putin for inspirational leadership. Germany welcomes Russians. Diversity key to warfighting effectiveness, says U.S. Air Force. Let's see. U.S. pledges more support for Ukraine. That's becoming a repeating headline. China calls for Russia-Ukraine peace talks. Ukrainian attack may be imminent, says DPR. Rejecting oil and gas is road to hell for the U.S., says Big Bank CEO. Well, Big Bank CEO warns. And that would be the headlines. Fun, fun, fun. With that, I'm gonna sneak out and be done and relax for the rest of the evening and I don't know, maybe hopefully sleep in a little bit before I wake up and start another day. So anyway, I am gonna get out of here. I hope you all have a good weekend. God willing, we'll be back Sunday, and I hope to see you then. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit, and shalom.